E hoje eu faço a visitinha surpresa pra pedir a mão da Bebela em casamento.
Bebê! Bebela!
Bebela? Bebela?
Galinhos!
Socorro, deixa eu entrar, deixa eu entrar! Deixa eu sair! Como é que eu vou explicar essa história pra minha família logo hoje? Como é que vai ser a reação deles quando souberem que a Bebela me fez de rena de Natal?
Relaxa que eu já pensei aqui, eu já sei como é que eu vou te ajudar. Tu vai chegar lá com uma namorada nova. Eu não quero morrer! Meu Deus, eu tô na Natalândia.
Os pombinhos se conheceram onde?
Na praia.
Festa.
Numa
Na praia. Atenção!
De quem é essa risada que eu não conheço?
Opa!
Opa! We think that's how you say it in Brazil for today's movie, which is from Brazil. That's right. You heard the trailer, kind of. You probably have no idea what the trailer was unless you speak Portuguese, and if you do, that's fantastic. You can probably tell us more about what happened in the movie. Today's movie is 2022's Christmas Full of Grace, which is airing on Netflix. I have no idea if it was made directly for Netflix or what. Netflix, I know, does have a big international division and has a lot of Brazilian programming, including Christmas Full of Grace. This movie, my gosh, this movie it is bananas. It is absolutely bananas, and it is dangerous for one woman to dive into a pit of bananas on her own, so therefore I have assistance. My special guest star today is the one and only Carol Borden of the Cultural Gutter. Hello, Carol.
Opa!
Opa! So, tell me everything you know about Brazilian Christmas movies.
This is the only Brazilian Christmas movie I've seen, and I would like to think that every Brazilian Christmas movie is just like this one because it's banana pants.
I also hope that every Brazilian Easter movie is like this one.
Yes.
You know, it's
Yes.
how just now. This was kind of a dual effort in picking. I wanted you on the show, so I said, here's a list of different movies that I was thinking of covering. See if any of these click for you. What drew you to this one? What made you say bananas?
I had never seen a Brazilian Christmas movie, and I was curious how much it would be alike and how much it would be different from the Hallmark and Lifetime American and Canadian Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And I really liked the ways it was different. I realize we're calling this one bananas, but I have to say, most of the Hallmark and Lifetime movies I have seen have been bananas one way or another.
Yes.
And that's why we love these movies.
Yes, it's the weirdness that isn't meant to be weird that tends to be the thing that really draws you to them.
Yes, and I think this one was actually more self-consciously weird and genuinely joyful than many of the ones I've seen that often come off as kind of forced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one, I will say, it took me maybe about 10 minutes to kind of get on its wavelength, because it is a lot. It starts, and you are just whiplash, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Why are things so different in Brazil than they are in, where you are from or where I am from? And then at a certain point, and I can't exactly, I'm going to see as we walk through it to figure out if I can identify at what point I was like, okay, yeah, this is the greatest movie ever made. I definitely got there. Maybe at one point I might have walked away from that a little bit, but by the end of this movie, I was all in, and I was one of those things where I was almost sad when it was over, and I had looked at the running time, and I looked at the time I had left, and I was like, okay, so I have 20 minutes left of the movie, but I probably only have that probably Netflix credits are always really long because they always have to have all of the international credits listed there. So I'm probably looking at 16 minutes left. Damn, I wish I had more. And then we had outtakes, so I did.
Yeah, I was concerned that it was going to be too long when I started it up. Yeah. And then I was very concerned because there's a kind of comic relief that seems to be universal internationally. And I was very concerned that our heroine was that kind of what we have called in the past odious comic relief that I struggle with.
Yes.
But by the time that she is in like the movie's kicked off. She's with the guy. They're in his house. She's in the family chimney. I'm like, I love this movie. This movie, I think I told you, it's like he's picked up a raccoon and and he's dating a raccoon, and they have a crazed raccoon in their house, in their chimney.
You are not wrong.
Presents.
This is very much this should have been a hybrid animated and real life movie that starts as a cartoon, where it is about a little wild raccoon with big raccoon boobs and a short skirt who ends up in this situation and then gets turned into a human, but nobody even realizes she still has a raccoon tail. All of that would have made perfect sense.
And I like that these people both deserve to have a crazed raccoon in their house and need to have a crazed raccoon in their house.
Sometimes we all need a crazed raccoon human being in our house.
Yes.
Why don't we get into, I don't have much behind the scenes on this movie. I just, I'm not familiar with the writers and directors. They, obviously are Brazilian. I'm not familiar with any of these titles, so I won't go into all of that, but I think we just need to dive into the story of Christmas Full of Grace. So please, Carol, walk us through. You can give spoilers. This has a lot of surprises, but ultimately it ends the way you think it's going to end. So go have at it. Tell me about these people and what befalls them on this Christmas Eve.
Okay, I'm going to also butcher the names.
Yeah, I know, me too. And I apologize to the whole, country.
Yeah, I very much apologize to the Portuguese-speaking world.
Yes.
But Carlinhos is a young business scion, and but he's not entirely sure he wants to inherit the family business. And he is going home from a long day of businessing to propose to his girlfriend. And before he even gets there, he tells his driver, Jorge, and again, I'm sorry, I'm using the Americanized Spanish version of a Portuguese name. But he tells his driver his whole life about how he's going to marry her, and they're going to have a kid, and their kid's going to go to this school, and their kid's going to go to that school,
and then they're going to learn this language, and then have his own kids.
Yeah. And then at exactly 27 years of age, his kid is going to be sitting in the back of the limo telling his limo driver this very same thing. So it's clear he's unhappy and is trying hard to be dissociated from his own unhappiness.
Yep.
So he arrives home and discovers that his girlfriend is having an affair because she's having a bubble bath and her girlfriend can no longer hold her breath.
I was impressed for how long she was holding it to begin with.
It was.
I mean, he's proposing, he's going on and on about his day. I don't know, what the average human being can, 3 minutes is
That's
if you're, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We could time it and see, because it could have honestly been 3 minutes of screen time. I wouldn't put it past this movie.
No. And I also wouldn't put it past this movie for that actress to have actually had to have her head underwater the entire time.
Yes. Yeah, it was hard to say, because most movies of this kind, it would just be there were towering bubbles, but the whole bath would just have towering bubbles in it. It wouldn't have water, but I think this did have water.
Yeah, I believe it.
Mm-hmm. It was a deep tub too. Yeah,
and very I don't know, it's one of those tubs, that's when you're rich and won't ever be rich, that whole thing of who has a tub like that? Only rich people. Nobody real actually has that.
I was having similar thoughts about it, because I was looking at it and I'm I recognize that this is a nice tub. It's one of those big ceramic basins that's supposed to be that's a standing tub.
Right, it kind of suggests clawfoot and old style, but it's also,
and it's very
cream
expensive porcelain.
And new. Yeah.
And it's facing out over the beach with a big window. But I'm I don't really like this tub. I've been thinking about how I don't really like many of the things that signify wealth right now.
Yeah. Well, especially in this movie. Aside from the fashion, but we'll get there. So.
And I feel like getting in and out of that tub would be awkward.
Yeah.
Especially when there's two of you and one of them is holding their breath.
Yes. So he, needless to say, does not propose.
No.
What
No.
happens next? Because I don't know that I actually understood how this meet cute happens.
I understand his half of it. He is like, he does not want to. I'm like, good job, Carlinos.
Mhm.
You clearly don't like her all that much. I mean, you think you like her, and you try to have the romantic moment with the proposal. Because I think he's like, would you like to have your happily ever after with me? And she's just, even before her girlfriend appears, she's clearly not that girl.
Definitely.
So I'm not even sure what they're doing together, except we discover
Right, they
later
look good on
she's having.
paper, yeah.
I'm also thinking Solange.
Oh, yes.
We discover later she's having an affair with Carlinos' brother, whose name I've never caught, but he looks like Michael Cohen to me.
Oh, maybe that. Yeah, I was trying to figure out the entire movie who he looked like. I couldn't quite wrap my finger around it, but Pedro is the character's name. And yes, his wife is having an affair with Bebela. It's like the one name I think I could say. Bebela, yeah. Bebela, that's how you have to say it. So Carlinos then runs out of the house, runs out of this gigantic apartment building, and is like stuck in his courtyard. What's going on there?
Yeah, he gets stuck in his courtyard because they live in a gated building, like in a gated apartment building in Rio. And apparently you can only open and close the gate from your unit.
Okay.
So he is trapped inside. And this is what I don't understand. Grasa is outside and she's trying to get in. And she's screaming and shouting. And, like, now that I think about it, she must, like, I reconstructed what she did in retrospect, because she has that whole plan where every year she spends a Christmas with someone. So she was busy faking, I think, having been mugged.
Yes, and I guess I feel like she does that every year. But, like, do you think she picks someone, or she just, whoever the first guy or I mean, anybody is that sees her goes for it? Like, she didn't scout out Carlinos, right?
No.
Okay.
I think she scouts out an area. So she knew that was, like, a fancier area, probably, so that she would be more likely to have a quality Christmas.
And to have good food.
Yes, which is her primary motivation in life, which is very relatable.
I mean, it's mine, so, like, yeah, that or getting to pet dogs. It's all the same. So she's trying to get in, and I don't know why he's like, but, like, how does it go from her trying to get into him being like, okay, let me take care of you, and for everything. There was something I was missing, and I thought it was cultural, but I think it was just weird writing.
Yeah, I didn't really catch it. In retrospect, I'm like, well, maybe it's because he's like a good guy, and she's like, oh no, I'm being mugged.
Yeah.
So it is a strange way to get yourself a Christmas. I feel like we meet someone later, Rui, who is German and always wears lederhosen.
Obviously. I mean, why do you even say that as if it's weird?
I'm sorry.
I'm like a quarter German, and therefore I have a sock that is lederhosen at all times.
I liked that Carlino correctly identified that he was dressed as a Tyrolean. That made me happy. Because I live in the Midwest, and we also appreciate some Germanness.
Yeah. Important there.
But we meet him, and he has, she had done the same thing with him and his family and spent a very German Christmas with them, and he fell in love with her. But she just cried about how she was alone and couldn't go back to her family. I don't think that she had the whole, I've been mugged and lost all my stuff, and can you help me?
Okay. So she does it to Carlinos, who's like, hey, I have to go tonight. It's Christmas Eve. I have to go to my grandma's house where my whole family is. And there's a lot riding on the line because grandma's picking who's going to inherit the company. And it will be weird if I show up without my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it won't be as weird if I show up with a complete stranger who is also a raccoon.
Yeah. It's one of those things that needed more writing maybe in a movie, but in real life is exactly how it would go down. It would just be like, I kind of like you, and we've bonded, so why don't you come to Christmas with me?
Yes, you psychotic human raccoon. Yes, please. And let's talk about when she shows up. So they get to the grandma's house, and it's a very like old money house. Everything seems fragile. Everything is decorated to a T. And like this is where when you said human raccoon, I'm like, oh my God, you're right, because it's like she's unleashed. It's like you bring a dog in from outside, and like it's like a really hyper dog, and you take that leash off, and the dog's like, great, now I'm just going to do zoomies across the entire home. She does zoomies in this house, right?
Yes. Yeah, and they take advantage of the convention of the empty wrapped packages.
Yes, they do.
Because they have a whole tree that has empty wrapped packages under it, only it's like decor. So it's not even like we're supposed to believe there's anything in them. But she's just excited.
She's
and she
like
gets
full
up
out
under that
Cookie
tree
Monstering
like a crazy
those presents.
raccoon or a dog with zoomies.
Yes.
And starts tossing them.
Like, we're not exaggerating. She's like,
No.
she's almost tearing through them with her teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think that's when I started to be like, huh. But when she was in, she also gets so excited about their chimney because they have a real chimney.
Well,
and
they
she,
do.
like tears away the grate in front of the
It's like the end
fireplace.
of Child's Play, if you remember, when Chucky like comes down the chimney, like when they like stick him in there and they set him on fire, but then he gets out. It's like that's kind of what that moment reminded me of.
I loved when she exclaimed, "Santa can't work with this."
Yeah, because there's also an aspect of this movie where maybe she's the daughter of Santa Claus, right?
That's when I texted you. Oh my God.
Like, what exactly is her story? Because then what is it? Like, it's like her dad died. Her dad was Santa Claus. Like,
Yeah.
not Santa Claus, but maybe real Santa Claus. But, like, she gives, like, a memory, and it's, like, Santa Claus giving her a gift, and her being like, oh, St. Nicholas. And then it's like, and then my dad died. And I guess that was her only family, so then she just do you think she only emerges? Is she like Brigadoon, but Christmas? Like she only comes out on the day?
I prefer this interpretation to because initially I was so excited that she was the daughter of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And was so sad about it when she's telling anybody but Carlino her actual life story.
Yeah.
My interpretation of it subsequently was that her dad was a mall Santa and that he was always busy on Christmas. So she always wanted this nice Christmas. And that he either died or there was no point in going home to her family for Christmas because her dad wasn't around, because either he was mall Santa or he was real Santa.
Either way, he was a workaholic. And that's why she's so disgusted by Carlinos, like, taking the job.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
I mean, this is, very tight screenwriting when you put it that way.
Yeah.
So now, meanwhile... sorry.
I was just going to say I hadn't really thought about that parallel between her dad and her boy. So that was really nice.
Yeah, it all works. So she meets the whole family, and the family is amazing in different ways. We'll like go into detail when we get to who's a sassy sidekick, who's a villain, and all that. But we have a colorful band of characters in the family, right?
Yes. And they are both they're wealthy people in Rio, so I think that there's like a level of wealth and untouchability that even with things as they are right now here is still kind of inconceivable.
Right, like to be rich in a city like that is to be like to be rich in Moscow. Like there are certain cities where it's not like, oh yeah, I have a good job, I make money. Like no, like you are like you have millions. You are loaded. Yeah. And so the whole family
they call his grandma Lady Sophia.
Yes. Well, and like I would too. She's classy. I love her. We'll get there.
But I feel like these people both deserved her raccoon antics. And then we find out that they needed her raccoon antics to improve their lives and bring the spirit of Christmas to them.
Yeah, they all needed to loosen up a bit. Even Lady Sophia, who seemed like very eager to do so also. And whether
yes,
it
I
was,
liked her.
yeah, like just like the actress, like kind of winking in the beginning, but like right from the start, you're like, oh no, Lady Sophia's gonna break. We're okay. It's gonna be okay.
She was magnificent.
She was. I know. Life goals. I want to be her. So everything's great. Lady Sophia's like, okay, I'm going to give the company to Carlinos because he brought somebody who can karaoke and got my whole family to do so. And you know, important skill for family. But then, so what happens from there? Carlinos is great. He's excited. But then, conflict.
Yes. His jerk cousin, who is bitter about losing the company, finds out that Grassa has done this before and brings the German guy who claims he's her ex in to tell the story of how she did the same thing to his family and broke his heart.
Yeah. And so Carlinos' kind of rightful reaction at first is like, you're a con artist. This is bullshit.
Yes.
She runs away, and then what? Like, he kind of has a change of heart and realizes, oh no, you're great. I need to find you. But now we have like a week between Christmas and New Year's where she's off the grid. Nobody can find her. But this is where the power of TikTok comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
he decides he needs to make a grand gesture, which I have to say is almost always a mistake. But
well, in real life, it's a mistake. In these movies, it always works, but in real life, a grand gesture is very concerning, and is something that, honey, sweetie, if you said no to a guy and then he like rents out the entire high school to come march in your bedroom and sing a love song to you, that might sound sweet on paper, but it's actually horrifying and abusive. So
yes, and what I like about this movie compared to the other Hallmark movies, which are the other similar type movies, is in those movies it always works, and it's very enjoyable in them. Like, I have no problem with that. I, again, do not do these kinds of things in real life. It's not good.
Yes.
In this one, it doesn't really work with her.
Right.
Because he accused her of just being after his money, and that's why she was lying, instead of accusing her of just being after his Christmas and family.
Of just being insane?
Yes. Being a raccoon person.
Yes.
So she got offended and left, and so his solution of using the power of TikTok and his wonderful, I don't know if it's a sister or cousin or whatever.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. I thought either aunt or cousins. But yes, the boyfriend who is very much in the family, or husband, I think, even.
Yes. Who is both like a TikTok influencer and a popular singer. He gets to 14 million followers and uses that to give him a platform to sing a special, very romantic song about how he wants Grassa back. And then he uses all his resources and all his family members to basically plan an advertising campaign to apologize to her and to get Grassa to come to his big party on the beach for New Year's, where they will be reunited, and she is not having it.
Nope. But what changes her mind?
Our good old friend Lady Sophia, realizing that
Sophia.
She's successfully finding her at the bus station and stopping her before she goes and saying he's changed. You can tell he's changed because he's quit his job, because he wants to find his own happiness, and she wisely does not say his happiness includes you and you have to go make him happy, but just like, what would make you happy? Are you doing that?
Yeah. So Grassa shows up to the party, they kiss, and then we get outtakes.
Yay,
and presumably they create some adorable hybrid raccoon human children.
Yes.
Yes. It is so much. And again, you might think like, okay, that sounds like kind of like a regular Hallmark plot, right? Like, you could have a story of somebody like, the zany kind of manic pixie dream girl who just, can't kind of settle, but spends Christmas with somebody new every year, and one year kind of ties in the poor little rich boy, and he falls in love, and he's got a wacky family, and it all comes together. But it's like this is the case of the movie where it's like, no, it's not the story, it's everything in between.
Yeah, and then there's just like little elements, like Not just that there might be a twist in one of the other movies where like, oh no, my partner cheated on me with someone of the same sex. But this one has like, I think more than one polycule in it.
Yes. Oh my God, completely. Yeah. Because you have it's my partner cheated on me with another woman. Oh, and she also cheated on me with my cousin's wife, who therefore my cousin's wife has been cheating with another woman. And then you have the brother and the TikTok star brother-in-law, who at one point there is like a throwaway like line about how they're into how the wife is into like threesomes and stuff, and it's I mean, this again, this isn't Hallmark, this isn't Lifetime, this is obviously a different market. It's also, I think, interesting, and again, I don't think either of us have the context as far as like where does this movie compare? Like, what is the equivalent of it? Like, is it like a raunchy sex comedy in the U.S., or is this a very general thing that like you would watch with your family? Like, 'cause it's not like there's no nudity, there's no like, nothing like I don't know if I'm sure Brazil has a rating system. Would this be like the equivalent of PG-13? Probably, but I don't know. It's
I think there's nothing more than kissing.
Yeah, but like there's a lot more implied, and there's a lot of things said that here I feel like it would be very like, and maybe just because it's Christmas, so you don't do those things at Christmas. But it's fun. It's very fun.
We see Bento, the TikTok sensation, his wife or girlfriend or partner, and Rui, the ex-German.
Mm-hmm. That's it. I knew there was a third person in that group. Could not remember how it all went.
And we see them together, and they mention that they're together, and they say, "We'll get back to you later about who's smashing who in their special night."
How fun! How fun!
Yep.
All right. So now, all of this to say, is it a typical Christmas movie? Let's dive into the tropes to see how it all stacks up. Now, number one is our lead in need of a lesson. Who do you want to put in this position? Do you want to say that's Carlinos, or is that Graça?
I guess I think they both equally do, but I don't think that either of them needs the same kind of strong lesson that movies are usually about. Like, I think maybe if there is a Hallmarky lesson, it's like they both need to pursue their own happiness and.
There's a little bit of like the way Carlinos is introduced is very like, oh, he's a workaholic, it's Christmas Eve and he's still at work and he's talking about, his whole life being planned, and you feel very much like, oh, this is going to be the uptight guy. But the fact that like that same day he's like, hey, crazy lady, stranger, come meet my family, and I'm putting my entire fate in your hands. Don't be too wacky, because then I might not get the promotion. So he learns the lesson pretty quickly, I guess.
Yeah, I also feel like he already knows what's wrong with his life.
Good point. Yeah.
It's really like being able to leave that he needs. So, and she helps him leave.
Yeah.
What is making him unhappy.
And I guess for her, like, what does she do the rest of the year? Like, what is her job, do you think?
I wondered about that, because I think that she might, actually be very wealthy. She's got that Santa money.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. She kind of claims to not have clothing, but like when she knows how to wear clothing. She's got hair extensions. Those can't be cheap.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I don't know what she does. We don't know. And it seems like she just travels around and fixes Christmases.
I'm really like, I'm like, is she like a Holly Golightly type? Like what exactly is her deal come Halloween? I don't know, and I want to know.
I don't know. Maybe she returns to her natural form and goes off into the forest to frolic for a year.
I that's it. That's definitely it.
And now that she's found love, like the Little Mermaid, but much happier, she's a real woman all the time.
Well, but like, what if not? Like, it was New Year's Eve. I guess we see it after New Year's, but in some cultures, how like the holiday season kind of extends to Little Christmas and all that. But like on January 7th, right after Little Christmas, is he gonna wake up in bed? and like stretch his arms and like turn over as if he's gonna nuzzle his beautiful wife, and instead he's like, why do you smell like you're very did you forget to shave? Oh my God, you're a raccoon. And then she has to explain to him, and he has to be very understanding of it. But I feel like they can make it work. If anybody can make it work, these two can.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I think they both learned about like both the importance of honesty and forgiving people for the necessary lies in their lives.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, number 3 is our setting, which can be a big bad city, a charming small town, or a magical winter wonderland. Pretty big bad city, would you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's neat to see Rio. Not a city I've seen on film very often. This seems to be a very clean version of it. It looks like a very nice city.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly all big city all the time, and it doesn't have any they don't have like the big city versus the small town thing going on. They have like the regular real folk and the detached, crazy, wealthy people.
Yes, that's about right. Yeah, and I mean, in any major city, I used to live in New York City, like you have both of that at all times. So,
yes.
Now, number 4 is our dead parents or dead wife. I clocked it. It was 38 minutes in where she mentions that her dad is dead.
Yes.
And I guess, no, he has his parents. We have a dead patriarch, right? We have a dead grandpa somewhere in the mix.
Yeah, who leads us to believe that maybe Lady Sophia had been like Grassa in the past.
True.
Because
yes.
she reinvents herself.
Mm-hmm. So it all comes. So in another like 60 years, we're gonna get Grazza in that part in the sequel to this movie. Wait for it. Now, number 5 is gonna be a big one here. It's our sassy sidekick.
Okay, I'm going to let you handle the sub part, but I will say there's a lot of sassy sidekicks.
There's so many sassy sidekicks.
But at the same time, she is her own sassy sidekick.
Yeah, that is brilliant. You are like this is the character that in any other movie, and I can think like Santa Boot Camp last year, she's Marissa Joan Whittaker. Like there's always that like, hey, I'm the zany friend who's got to keep the energy up. This year, the last I'd say like 2 movies that I've done for the show. I'm not sure if I don't think these episodes have been released yet, but the Scottish Christmas. You had Hamish, who was the the Scottish just groundskeeper who just every single scene this actor was working so hard to be like wacky and Scottish. And then the last movie was Mystic Christmas, where there was like one of the aquarium interns is just giving so much face in every one of his scenes. Where you're like, oh yeah, like the director told this person, like, hey, go for it, be wacky, we want you to stand out in the movie. And in this case, you're right, it's the lead, and that's a lot.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to discover that she is a famous comedian.
She must be. I mean, she has credits on her IMDb. So the actress's name is Jessica Kayane. Again, apologies for saying it wrong. I'm sure I am. But she is better known by the stage name GK.
Oh yeah, single name.
Yep. Which
Classic.
I mean, that's when you know. Actress, digital influencer, and comedian, born in Brazil. So I mean, she's clearly like somebody with extreme confidence who knows to go big and knows how to do it. And again, it's a lot at times, but yes, I would cast her in a movie in any part just to give it some life.
And it's neat to see her be the lead, because if she were in a Hallmark or a Lifetime movie, she would not. She would be the sassy sidekick.
Yeah.
And like she's pretty, she's voluptuous, like she's
short.
Yeah.
Everybody else in this movie is very tall, but I think she's short.
Yes.
Yeah, she is.
She was wearing some heels when she was wearing heels. Like they were
right.
They looked like they were at least 3 inches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a very fun. I wonder how tall she actually is, because it does feel. You're right. Like it's, and again, the second movie this year where we have had a heroine who was not your typical, size 4, and it is. Again, it's very exciting to see.
Yeah.
And they dress her up in really fun outfits.
Yeah.
And she looks great.
And it made me happy in general to see that all the beautiful people were regular, ordinary, real world beautiful people. Mm-hmm. Like even the male lead, he's very cute, but he's like real life cute.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I would agree. Other sassy sidekicks. I mean, let's go through it. So you've got on the, let's see. So on Carlinos' side, he's got like a good sassy rapport with his driver, right? Jorge is there and kind of, again, lends some sass here and there. Then the Jorge gets eventually to kind of rub knees with Chica, who is Lady Sophia's, I forget the term they use, but sort of like, not maid, but like, not lady in waiting, assistant, yeah. But it felt more like domestic than like, right, like she wasn't taking notes for her. She was like keeping the household in order. So housekeeper, maybe?
Yeah.
And Chica is also very much the sort of guardian angel, like almost more sage-old person to Grazia. Then you have, but really, like, I can't bury the lead here. We got to talk about Mew, right? Mew. We talked about Bento a lot, right? Bento is Mew's partner. He's a TikTok star. He's amazing. But Mew, who is, I think, the aunt. I wrote down fun aunt, so I'm guessing they said that at some point. And we need to talk about her earrings.
Yes, please do.
Oh my God. Those earrings. So many earrings.
Oh,
and I'm not just one pair. Like, the first pair I think she wears are these flowers that are like the size of earmuffs, but they're on her ear. But then, like, every scene, she's wearing something different in every scene. Every scene is just eye-catching and, like, zany, but actually, like, looks good. But the lobsters.
Yes.
How do you describe these lobsters? You nailed it when you said it. I said, watch out for the dangling lobsters. And then you said...
They are like little lobster cookie cutters.
Yeah, they are
like she
long,
found
they're thick.
Tiny lobster cookie cutters and then just was like, I'm going to make earrings out of these.
Yeah, and credit. I bow. Granted, I was raised on the movie Outrageous Fortune. I used to watch it all the time. And have you ever seen it with Bette Midler and Shelley Long?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it is a classic of my youth. God, we covered it for the show, like, in year one, and I thought it held up very well. But there's a great moment where Bette Midler ends up, like, in a house, like, looking for things, and she finds, like, Christmas ornaments. She's like, oh, earrings! And she puts on this gigantic Christmas ornament earring, and she's like, well, it works. And I always remember as a kid being like, it would work. Can I do that? And thankfully I did not try, because that probably would infect my ear.
Yes.
Number 6 is our evil woman or our male boss villain, or just villain in general. We actually get one here. Almost 2, but definitely 1.
Yeah, well, I think it's his cousin Pedro.
Yeah.
Is the villain. Yeah.
Pedro's a little squirmy jerk. And I like that they actually say, like, oh no, it's not just that Carlinos is more responsible, he'll be better head of the company. It's like, oh no, like, Pedro is morally bankrupt. Like, he will use our money for evil. So, like, we know he's actually bad. And his girlfriend or wife, I don't know if they say which one, is also, like, kind of a cunt for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although she is friendlier to both of them than Pedro is.
She is, but she's also, like, very much, like, and I guess she's the partner, she kind of has to, but she's kind of, like, laughing along with Pedro at times and seems like to also want to pick on them at first.
Well, I mean, the person she ends up with is Pipela, and you know, not a nice person.
Yep. Yeah, she's got a type, I guess so.
I love that Pedro thinks he has it made when he wrecks things, but they're just like, okay, we're going to make the precocious tween the CEO now. I was so hoping that would happen, and I was so excited when it did.
Yeah, and I feel like it's in good hands.
Yes.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing.
Very competent.
Definitely. Number 7, montages.
I don't remember a montage.
It's a tricky one because there's a few, but they're very like, and you can argue a few of these aren't full out montages because they're all kind of broken by other things. So there is one where there's sort of like Christmas preparation and there's like shots of foods and decorations. I think we need to talk about, this is less a montage and more just a music cue with slow motion and with like different, lots of cuts of different things happening. And it's the introduction of Lady Sophia. Do you
Yes.
remember what song is played when we are introduced to Lady Sophia?
Wasn't it Dancing with Myself?
It was Dancing with Myself.
Yeah, the music, all the music was very interesting, but that I still don't. I feel like if I were in Rio, maybe there would be a reason and I would understand it, but I do not.
I don't know that we can always use that excuse for some of the decisions made in the movie, you know? Yeah, it's a very, very odd one. There's some there's a museum date they have. It's kind of montagey. And then so my favorite type of montage is a trying on clothes montage, followed by a makeover montage, and then the next one is the we are very sad montage, and we do have a we are all very sad montage in this one when Carlinos is like moving on with life, and you see him in the board meeting, but he's not paying attention, and then you just see the whole family, like everybody packing into the cars, and it's just we're all very sad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lady Sophia almost approaches him.
Yes.
Also, respect to Lady Sophia for bringing like full Downton Abbey dowager energy.
Oh, so much. So much. I guess there's one more montage when he's doing the social media campaign to get Grazia back.
Yeah.
Right? There's the music video where he's actually singing and playing the guitar, and while that's happening, we get the cardboard cutouts of him, and we get flyers. Flyers are big this year in stocking stuffers, so keep your eye out for them. We'll see if they come back in 2024.
You know, a flyer would really win my heart if I was annoyed with someone and they wanted to win my heart back.
And you happen to walk by a bulletin board at any, local business and see your face right there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want in a very big city with many people who might was there a ransom put out on her? Like, do you think there was a bounty?
I don't know.
Like, what were people supposed to do if they found her?
I think they were supposed to either tell her to go back to him or contact him. I don't know.
It's kind of horrifying.
I think it was social pressure, which is, kind of icky.
It's why every Cozy Cardigan Christmas movie is just a sound design away from being a Lifetime thriller.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And
You can take them, though.
Oh, that's very true. Number 8 is slapstick.
Definitely.
Oh, boy.
Mostly in the beginning.
A lot in the beginning. The whole, you climb the fence. No, you climb the fence. I can't climb the fence. Yeah. I don't know what was happening, but I think it was slapstick.
The present tossing.
Yeah. The present tossing, I don't know how to act inside of a house. I don't know how to act inside of a helicopter. That too. When they're eating Christmas dinner and she's using I guess it's like an escargot de-sheller, but she's using it to curl her eyelashes.
Yes.
I like that. There's a great family fight. I think it's at the dinner table after she kind of riles everybody up, and they're all screaming at each other. And there's a sound cue of a cat screeching.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
No, I didn't.
It's amazing. Because there's no cat. There's definitely no cat in this movie. If this family had a cat, that cat would have starved to death. But there is absolutely somebody is pressing a button to play a cat screeching. It's great. So they play polo, and of course, Grazia ends up breaking Lady Sophia's nose, and she's really cool about it. But I have to say, I watch these movies, and this year they've kind of broken me. I had a wet eyeball watching one of them recently. And in this one, I had an absolute guffaw laugh out loud. Did you have a moment like that? I wonder if this little sight gag got you too.
I'm afraid the one that got me was when she was unleashed in the house. That.
I mean, that was great. That wasn't the one for me. For me, it was they're playing polo, and of course she's doesn't actually know how to ride a horse, doesn't actually know how to play polo, but she's yeah, of course I'll do it. And so she goes to get on the horse, and she's I can do this. And I don't even know how to describe it. She kind of bounces on the horse and just completely gets thrown over and just jumps on the horse and just jumps right over the horse and lands on her head.
Yes.
It was so fucking funny.
It was very like 1920s Harold Lloyd.
It really was. It was like they threw a dummy in the air and it landed, and it made me laugh very hard.
Aw.
Yeah. And again, like, look, people, I'm not laughing at somebody being clumsy. I am the clumsiest person you will ever meet. When I see good clumsy humor, you know, and I'm saying it's good clumsy humor, that means it is good fucking clumsy humor. And that one was good. And there was one more. There's the Cinderella moment when she's like revealed like at the staircase wearing, you know, like the big red strapless dress, and she starts walking down the stairs and like almost slips, which is cute enough, but they play the sprinkle sound effect while that's happening, and that made me very happy.
I like it. I feel like it's better because of the sound effect than it would be, I think, because the other one comes across as the one where, you know, like the female lead can't be too beautiful. Like she has to be relatable. So, you know,
it's like the music is playing and then it screeches when that happens. But in this case, it's like, no, that's part of her magic. Because she is the daughter of Santa Claus, maybe. The raccoon daughter of Santa
Did you
Claus.
like when she was sliding down the banister?
You know, again, because it's like the first thing she does when she walks into this very wealthy house. She's like, "Ooh, a banister! I am a 30-year-old woman, therefore I am going to hurl myself down it as if I have never seen one." And I was kind of, I appreciated how committed she was to the bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like they let her out of the carrier.
Exactly. You know what happened? Like, you know how it goes. Like, you medicate the animal when you put the animal in the carrier, but eventually those meds wear off. And when you open that door, you got to stand back. Stand back.
It's your fault for having fun things in the house.
Yes. How dare you? How dare you? I'm just imagining, like, it's something, you know, I have cats. They're over a year old, but like they still are very kitten-like. And it's like the joke that we first said when we got them was my husband would be like, "Yeah, we can't have nice things." No, now we can't have things.
Yeah.
Because it is like if anything dangles, if there is any like I have a CPAP machine. Like every couple of nights, my cat realizes I have a CPAP and is like, "Oh, how can I fuck this up tonight?"
That's the best thing I've ever seen.
Right? Like I get it. It makes noise. Like I woke up last night and I'm like, "Did you turn it off?" And I think she did. Like I've seen her sort of like jump on it and step on the button and it turns on suddenly. So, I get it. If you're an animal and you are, there's certain instincts we have and raccoons apparently are up that ilk.
Yes.
How about sage old person or people?
Lady Sophia.
Yeah.
Who they set us up to think like, oh no, she's so scary and forbidding, and then she was the one who provided both of them with the best life advice.
Yeah.
And Miss Chica.
Miss Chica, yes. She also gave some very good advice. I liked her a lot. I would watch her story.
She looks like she got a happy ending too.
Yeah, like her and Jorge are totally banging. Let's see. Now, number 10 is Santa Claus.
Yes.
This is kind of the first movie this year that I sort of have a Santa Claus.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on this season. It's very upsetting. This is episode 8. I have not had any real sense of a real Santa Claus. I have to really reach to say, well, there was the guy who had white hair in the background. I bet he was maybe supposed to be Santa Claus. Mm-hmm. In a way, I also thought in this movie there was a moment of that, right? When the German lederhosen guy is running after her, he bangs into a Santa Claus who seems to slow him down deliberately.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, is that Santa Claus? And is he trying to make things not happen or make things happen for his daughter, Grazza?
Yes.
Unresolved plot thread, but I'll take it. Now, on to our bonuses. So, let's start on the music. Again, typically we have a lot of public domain holiday songs and then some Christmas word salad. Did you clock either of them? What were your thoughts on the music in general?
It was very interesting. I did not expect it to open with like American Gospel. Dancing with Myself.
Yeah, and that old Christmas ditty, Dancing with Myself.
And then at their Christmas ball, when the family was finally loosening up and everybody was happier, they clearly segued into some traditional, like not
Hmm.
traditional, but the kinds of things that people in Rio and in Brazil enjoyed singing and hearing at Christmas.
I took it as
Which,
like our version of Sweet Caroline.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's even
Um,
the TikTok dance song.
yes, the TikTok dance
Hmm.
song, uh, Lady Sophia's Symphony.
Yes, yes, of course. There is a "We Wish You a Merry Christmas,"
Oh yeah,
and it's played like in slow motion. That's when Grazia meets Lady Sophia and like goes to kiss her because I guess it's what you do with a stranger in Brazil, and everybody is aghast at that.
yeah.
And then there's a couple of Christmas songs that like I don't know if they're songs anybody has heard of. I had never heard them, although some maybe were familiar. But it was like
Hmm.
there's one song that was seemed to be called like Christmas Party, and it was like the lyrics were, "I stand by the Christmas tree. I hope no one notices me. Everyone is having fun. I keep wondering when I can go home again." That's that's okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wonder how widely these things are understood,
right.
or if it's because um okay, so I've watched a lot of Cantonese movies,
Mm,
and sometimes English songs get used in funky ways because people
right.
speak some English, but they don't speak necessarily a lot of
Sure.
English. And like the best one ever, I think you will appreciate, was Wang Jing's Satan Returns, where the emissary of Satan manifests in the vending machine break room of a police station
Ooh.
to the dirge-like strains of Silent Night.
I mean, Silent Night's a creepy song. I'm into that. That
Hmm.
that to me makes sense.
Yeah. So with some of these, I'm like, how much did people understand this Christmas party song? Or
Mm,
does it seem different? Like, does it seem like a funnier song? And it is kind
yeah.
of funny, but
Well, and then there's also that whole like, how many songs do we like hum to ourselves or sing when we don't actually think about what they're about or the lyrics, right?
exactly.
Like Afternoon
Yes.
Delight being the great example of like how many shows have used
Hmm.
that as a joke of characters not realizing what it's about. So,
Yes.
yeah. Number two, our secret family recipe and or needlessly complicated holiday cocktails. There's not really cooking in the movie, but there's some
No.
food in different ways.
And it's fancier than she thinks that people should be having for
Yes,
Christmas.
yes, which is fair. Like,
Hmm.
it should just be good. And she also hates like, she's all into drinking whatever is being passed around, but she's very angry at it because I guess it's very sour.
Yeah.
Hmm. Uh,
I like that because she does seem someone who likes someone who likes a sweet cocktail.
yes, yes. And instead she's like, no, this tastes like candy. It's gross.
Yeah, but
Which I
it's
get. I'm
cotton
not a
candy.
sour person. Like, I know
Hmm.
it's one of those tastes that you either love or hate, and
Hmm.
nothing for me if you want to torture me. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do that, but one way to do that is just to like lock me in a room and say the only things you can eat for the next like 5 days is sour apple candy, and I might just choke
Oh.
myself because I can't think of anything worse. Maybe now, one other food thing that comes up is, what are your thoughts I'm gonna throw a food at you? Okay, let's
Okay.
pretend we're on Top Chef,
Yeah.
and it's one of those like you pick something out of a bag, and your challenge is to make this in 20 minutes, and we've just put two culinary terms together, and you're gonna have to make it a meal, and you pick out tofu tartare.
Oh my God. I have no idea how. Like, on one hand, what is he thinking? And on the other hand, he is someone who cannot. s- he commits. He can't admit he's wrong.
Yes.
So, uh, Grasa is challenged by Pedro at the dinner to tell people about her family in a very gross way.
Hmm.
And so she says, if you can tell me stuff about your family, I'll tell you stuff about mine. And so she asks him what his wife Solange's favorite food is. And he says steak tartare. And Solange is like, what? I'm a vegetarian. So he changes it to tofu tartare, which I guess is just like eating the silky tofu
I
out
mean,
of the box.
you wouldn't have to do much to. I guess that's the whole idea of tartare in general. It's essentially
Yeah.
raw.
I mean,
But-
you could put some soy sauce and sesame oil in
yeah.
it,
Usually there's
but
like some lemon, maybe like right. It's like about like balancing acid there. So
yeah, I meant that with the tofu, you could put these
Oh,
things on it. But
sure.
yeah, with the tartare, yeah, you put some lemon juice.
yeah. So I
But
mean, people share your best tofu tartare recipes.
it was really good thinking of two things that were like the writers did a good job with that
Yes.
one.
Yes. It made me chuckle.
Diametrically opposed.
Yes. Now, number 3, we often find a small business in danger. So, okay, I have a really important question for you. Now, obviously, we don't have a small business. We have some form of corporation that makes a lot of money.
Yes.
What does it do?
It's a construction company.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. I did not catch that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting to me that Lady Sophia founded a construction company.
Well, I guess there's something to
Mhm.
building stuff in some way.
Oh yeah, I
Right.
like I imagine there's construction all over Brazil. I think that's part of why they're very, very wealthy.
Yeah, makes sense. And property is probably very pricey. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just, for some reason, I thought they were making something, and I was like, what are they making? Are
Well,
they
it's
making
unusual that it would
Sanitoys?
be that kind of company, which again is one of the things in the movie that's more like real life than it is like a Hallmark
True,
movie.
true. Yeah, because a construction company can't ever be a positive thing in a Hallmark world.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't catch any product placement, but of course it's also hard for me to know, like, if maybe there was something that just I
Yeah.
culturally didn't know was a product. Like, for all I know, that TikTok dance is a real thing. I don't think it is, but
Yes.
I want to believe. I want to believe it is. Now, let's talk about our cloying child, because we do have a child in this movie, kind of. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, she's a child.
Yeah.
I don't think I can see how some people would find her irritating, but I quite liked her.
I loved her. Yes.
Yeah.
And who describes her? I think it's when they're like introducing like, oh, who's who in the family, and she's described as the prodigy, the annoying prodigy.
Yes.
But she is very funny.
Yeah.
Let's see, number 6, finding the perfect tree. I don't think there's no.
They have people who do that.
Yes, they do. Yes,
There's
they do.
some other like Brazilian Christmas romance that's about their like employee who finds the perfect tree for their mansion.
I like to think it's like the way they filmed Dracula, right? And then Spanish Dracula
Yeah.
at night on the same set, like the same thing. Like
Yeah.
it was like this movie was filmed during the day, and then while like Grazia was getting coffee, like, okay, quick, run in there, film the earnest Hallmark version of this movie. On that note, did we have empty coffee cup acting? I don't remember much.
I didn't see.
Yeah.
I mean, they really ate the cotton candy.
Yep,
She was really drinking the drinks.
definitely.
They were Bento really put that snail shell in his mouth.
Yes, he did. We saw it twice in the outtakes.
Yeah.
Yep. So again, for all these Hallmark actors who are like, "Oh, I can't really drink the coffee. I'm not even going to pretend there's anything in there." Look, they're doing it fine in Brazil. You can do it too.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So same thing with 8. Normally we have actors who are trying very hard to not actually eat on camera, but they were eating.
Yeah. Yep.
So obviously number 9, Canadianisms we skip in this case. Warm weather watch. It's Brazil. It is,
Yeah.
I guess, summer weather. It's
What I did notice is that they were wearing these cashmere turtlenecks underneath their suit jackets
Ooh,
on
that
Christmas
seems
Eve.
hot. That seems very hot for that weather.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like an inversion or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because within that same scene, you have a character in like hot pants, and I
Yeah.
know there are people that like can always wear hot pants and always wear like they're like dudes with beards who always wear shorts no matter what weather is.
Yeah.
Maybe there's chicks in hot pants that can do the same, but again, she also what we don't see is her raccoon fur coat underneath all of it. So let's see. So old people aggressively matchmaking the leads. Not.
Yeah.
I mean, Lady Sophia's like gonna make this happen, but not in a gross way, which is nice.
I was going to say they're kind of aggressive, but they're not inappropriate.
I like that. Yeah. So that brings us to number 12. The favorite fashion moment.
I don't even know where to
I
start.
mean, moments. You know, I want to say, you said something to me that I actually really appreciated when I had said, because I sent you the notes and I said, oh, don't forget, because had made some changes to this doc from last year. There's a couple of things that were added, including favorite fashion moment. And because I'm like, you have to watch for the fashion in this movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't miss the fashion in this movie. It's so wacky. But you made a good point about kind of, I don't know if you want to say it or not, how, like, you didn't used to think about fashion so much.
I used to be dismissive of it in film because, and I think some of it was some internalized sexism.
Sure.
That stuff that's associated with women is less serious.
Right, and that it has to
even
be, they have to look good, whereas we don't think of men looking as good.
Yeah. And sort of ignoring the narrative component of fashion, in both like narratively and in character. And the thing that turned it around for me is watching Pillow Talk in one of those settings where it was like on TV and different talking heads talked about it, and they talked to the costume designer about it. And it's not that I didn't have thoughts like that, but seeing people, I think, talk about them made me feel more willing to talk about them.
Yeah. I think oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just think it's fascinating because I've realized, so even like in a personal way, that growing up I was never a fashion person. It was like the way you're a teenager and you kind of pick like the clothes that tell me who I am. But also as I got older, and it was always for me, like, I'm a weird size, I'm chubby, like all these things that always made me feel like, oh, like I can like clothing, but that clothing isn't going to look good on me. Like this looks great on the model, this looks great on Project Runway, but I can't pull that off. And there's also that sense, I think, that just comes with age of like you rounding a corner and realizing, oh, I'm not dressing for other people. I'm not dressing to look good for a man. I'm not looking for this. I'm dressing because this makes me feel good. I feel comfortable in what I'm wearing, or I feel sexy or powerful in in these clothes. And I think like it's something that then like once you kind of like light that flame and realize like, oh right, it's not about how I look, it's really about like what clothes do on a character basis, even for yourself. But certainly for movies where it's like, yes, you can storytelling, filmmaking, like the way it looks and the way an actor feels in the costumes they wear is part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like you can't talk about this movie without the fashions because they're very pointed. Like they're very present.
And every character, both male and female, but I mean particularly the women, every character's clothing is very carefully curated for them. Like, I mean, even, what's his name? Even Pedro's suits.
Yes.
He's wearing some very nice suits that are perfectly fitted to him because a man like him would do that. He would not go out looking like a slob.
No, and they also sort of contrast with Carlinos, who is often more casually but more elegantly dressed than him.
Yes.
He, like, Pedro is wearing very nice suits that suit him very well, but they're very boring business guy suits, kind of frat boy.
Yes, the well-fitted, clearly designer, but yes, without kind of that personality. To go through, I think, like, maybe it's easiest to go character by character on some of the clothing.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Let's start with Grazia. Because, I mean, my favorite of her outfits, and again, she is a very particular body type. She is very short, very, very curvy, a little fuller than you would expect in a movie like this as the lead, but, like, stunning. Like, absolutely, like, a body that you'd look at and go like, oh, wow, banging. And, her clothing emphasizes those parts. Like, her, lots of boob, lots of butt. My favorite of her outfits was it was like the white, I forget, I guess kind of a romper. It's probably a romper. It was white with the blue patterning on it.
Yes, I was the Greek themed one.
Yes, it was Greek themed.
Yeah, I was going to say that's my favorite one. And it had something written about splashing on it.
Oh, I didn't
And
see
then it had, like that, what is it? The meander, like the classic Greek pattern that's sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
I
don't
thought
know
was.
how to describe it.
But it was, yes, but it looked great.
Yeah, she liked shorts.
She did.
Like, and that's that first scene where she's distressed and you realize that she is not wearing sort of the classic pink uh dress with pink jacket, like boxy, very sort of 60s looking thing, because she sits on a bench with her legs splayed and you realize that it is a romper
Yes.
with a very Chanel looking square cut jacket.
Yeah, it's almost like kind of like a sexy drag queen Jackie Kennedy.
Yes. Yes, that is a perfect description.
Which is what we all aspire to. So,
Yes.
now how about Carlinos' mother Alice is an artist, and she's not the flashiest dresser, but her statement necklace, that wiry, like,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, she got it at the museum store.
Yes, 100%. But she wears it well.
Yeah, I would love something like that, but I would get that at the museum store kind of person.
Same.
So.
Yes, 100%. With a coupon, yeah. Let's see. Solange, who's like very stunning because she is very tall. And so like
Very elegant.
Very elegant, and because Pedro is much shorter than her, like there's something that like it makes her look even taller. She got kind of, I don't know, how do you describe it? Like it was deep purple, kind of like also Grecian in its own way.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was again.
What was interesting to me is like she was going for like she was clearly interested in fashion. And she was very well dressed and wearing designer stuff, but I think she was going for more like a funky haute couture. Like she is not letting other people's sense of fashion direct her. She's getting the stuff that she likes
and can afford. Yeah.
Yes.
Mew, who's style icon.
Yes.
She is of the lobster earrings. So.
Yes, I also loved her broad brimmed beach hat. That was like, it had like, it was almost like a Gibson girl, like it was a big ass hat.
Yes.
It had a broad diameter, and then its little cap was where this. Do you know those like little boas that have like the little fluffy feathers? It was like it was a swirl of those piled on top of her head.
Right, it was. It was amazing. Yeah, I appreciate. I know you're a big hat fan too. Yeah, hats in movies always are good. I loved. I forget when she's wearing it. Because every outfit she wears is colorful and vibrant and weird, and she has matching jewelry that doesn't match. But she's got one outfit. She's got like a little kind of almost a bomber jacket with a puffed sleeve, and it is sparkly like fish scale, but with flower patterns on it.
Yes, everything she had was sparkly and patterned and brightly colored.
Yes, and this one was one where I was like, oh no, if you put that like. You could put that on a runway. It would look good. And then I'd say last is Lady Sophia.
Yeah. Yeah, very, like, classic bohemian from, like, the 20s kind of stuff going on. And you know what's interesting to me? I loved her sort of jacket, sort of...
her Christmas Eve
like
outfit?
I can't remember what they're called, but yeah, the silken jacket that she had when they were playing polo that was very embroidered.
Oh, yeah, that was nice, too.
And speaking of like character revealing stuff or narrative revealing clothing, she had so much that was embroidered in a very like she's wearing burnouses and stuff that's embroidered around the yoke. And then we find out that her husband was like Lebanese or something. Her father, sorry, was like Lebanese or something. Right. I remember his name was like Yusuf.
Yes, that sounds right.
And I'm like, so much of your clothing with these embroidered yokes and the cuts and the Orientalist fantasy of it all is like pointing right there.
Right. Well, it's that exact like thing that we were saying too on like costume design where like costume tells the story. Like I don't know if you've ever read Tom and Lorenzo. They're bloggers who and they like Yeah, they're like they did a whole series of Mad Men coverage where they would take every episode and just talk about the costumes and how
Yeah.
who's like Joan's signature color is green, but when she's not wearing green, like what does this say about this and how like
Yeah.
and like look at the hemline on Peggy's skirts and how it changes and what it's saying and like and it was just incredible and they've done it for a couple of other things too. And it really, it and again, every movie is
Or
different, every
Dawn in
budget is different.
California.
Yeah. Oh, completely. Yeah. How, like, obviously he's like dressed more freely and everything.
Yeah.
But like, when you see it, it's something when you start looking for it, and, a costume designer is like a cinematographer. They are artists that come to a job and are given a directive by the director, by the filmmaker. And in a lot of these cases, and that's why, like, I found it really interesting on Hallmark lately that these movies are made pretty cheaply, they're made pretty quickly. There are certain motifs they have to do, put the red and green in there, give me a lot of peacoats. But you're like, if you just watch it for costumes, sometimes you can really see somebody's eye in there that got some kind of note of like, oh no, but we want to suggest this. And like, even the cheapest movie made in 14 days, sometimes that person in that job, in that department is doing it right and is telling a story this way. And that's a really good catch you have on Lady Sophia and the applique and the patterning. Because I did not think that at all. I was just thinking, my God, if I am her age with that money, I am dressing exactly like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, she's incredibly aspirational for one's 60s and 70s.
Yeah. Oh, such an elegant woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was Christmas Full of Grace. What a ride! What a carnival ride, if you will.
Yes. A very delightful time.
Indeed. Who do you recommend it to? Is there like, you have to give this movie to somebody and you want them to like it? Who is that person that you're like, you are going to like this movie?
I don't know.
Everybody.
Maybe someone who is looking for like a Christmas romance movie that is different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With like a twist on a lot of the conventions that we take for granted. And as looking for something that's like not so conservative as some of them can be.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think the people who liked Xmas, which is the one I did with Christine earlier this season, which was the Leighton Meester one, this is kind of similar in terms of like, oh, hey, we're telling a Christmas romance, it's going to end happy, it's hot people falling in love, but also we have some sex jokes and we have some more adult stuff, and also everybody looks really pretty and cute. And so it's kind of that. Oh, this one's zanier. This one, I think, again, like, it's about a human raccoon. And we're not kidding. Like, you're going to watch it and you're going to see exactly what we mean. So, yeah, I had a blast. And again, it took me a little time because I thought for a while, boy, this is a lot. But it is wild. It is energetic. The lead actress is a star. I hope to see more of her. And it's, and I'm sure on Netflix it is probably, you can probably watch a dubbed version. Please don't watch it with it's Brazilian because it's also like Portuguese is a beautiful language, and it's a beautiful language when people are angry, and they're angry in this movie a lot, and it just is so exciting to watch. So, with that being said, Carol, what are some other things we can look out for you from you for these holidays? Where can people find you? You do a lot of awesome stuff. Please tell the world.
You can find me writing at the Cultural Gutter, www.culturalgutter.com. We have editors who write all kinds of things about various kinds of disreputable art. You can find me at my own blog, which is called Monstrous Industry, which is monstrousindustry@wordpress.com, where I put up both some of my writing for the Cultural Gutter, other reviews I do of different movies, and some of my own art. And this Thursday coming up, I co-host Drive-In Mob on Twitter and Blue Sky. And we will be having our annual Squallow Day special with Senor Squallow from The Last Shark. bringing us seasonal cheer.
Nice.
So find
And-
us on Blue Sky on our dedicated feed, which is hashtag #DriveInMob, or find us on Twitter with hashtag #DriveInMob.
And that is every Thursday, even
Yes.
after, throughout every Thursday.
Yes, I thought maybe this time people would want to see Senior Squallow.
Nice. Nice. Well, it was a joy. With that being said, I hope everybody remembers that when you are trying to escape your home and you can't get out, but a raccoon is trying to get in, maybe let that raccoon into your life and into your heart, because it could change everything.
I think that is excellent advice for everyone.
Indeed.
Lá onde a América sinos festejam a noite de Natal e os pinheiros brancos de neve como torres de uma catedral. Lá onde a neve cai, sempre por sobre a lua tropical. O Natal é sempre oração, oração.